Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clayton Zoka, and welcome to another My Thoughts On. Tomorrow is the early preview for the next Pixar film, Onward, and I'll be seeing that tomorrow. I can't wait. So, to celebrate the early release of Onward, Dan Scanlon actually directed another Pixar film. This one, however, is a prequel to one of Pixar's most beloved and actually one of their earlier films. It is the 2013, I would probably say underrated film, Monsters University. This is the prequel to Monsters Inc., which I really like. I didn't see this when it came out, although I have seen it on Netflix a few years after its release. Um, I know for a fact that people weren't very keen on this. The critical reception was a bit mixed at best, although I don't think this is terrible, but not quite a strong Pixar film. But it's been a while since I've seen it, so is it any better? Let's find out. So, this is the film where Mike, voiced by Billy Crystal, and Sully, or James P. Sullivan, voiced by John Goodman, meet. Mike goes to this university called Monsters University. This is where they try and be the best scarer they can, study, do all the scare tactics, you know, until Mike and Sully meet. And you kind of know how this story goes. They both don't like each other, they're trying to outscare each other. And then there's this big competition where they have to try and be the best scarers. And just like these other sorts of films, they're teamed up with the worst team. The harmless, like easily distracted and very happy team, while the rest are actually quite tough and mean looking. One who there's one group that's led by Johnny Warrington, voiced by Nathan Lane, who's kind of a threatening pose to our heroes. And not just that, but the head of Monsters University, who's voiced by Helen Mirren. So it's up to Sully and Mike to try and prove to the school or the university that they are great scarers. I was actually kind of looking forward to Monsters University, because I love Pixar, as you know, and I have high hopes for them always. And I like the first Monsters Inc. quite a bit, so this would probably be great, right? Plot wise, unfortunately, this is one of the weaker Pixar plots out there. It's just your typical, I wouldn't, well, not really fish out of water, but more like character that's kind of an outcast. He does something to impress the people of his area, and then conflict ensues. He goes bigger, and then things get a bit different. He either gets loved, or the friend that helps him just falls back and they both have an argument. This film is unfortunately very predictable and cliched, which is a shame, but at the same time, I mean, all the Pixar films are predictable. Most of them. But they're executed with something unique, something new. They give us a story that's done, it's been done many, many times before, but they give it to us in a very unique and different way. This one's just kind of standard and basic. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't bored or anything, but it's just that you can kind of see where the film's going, and even if it goes to a point, actually, the ending is actually what I did not expect, although I did kind of expect them to go to, yeah. It's just that the writing and the directing doesn't feel like Pixar. It feels a little more like, I mean, same thing with The Good Dinosaur. It kind of feels like a DreamWorks film. And that's not a bad thing, but it just doesn't feel like Pixar. It doesn't feel like the classic great studios I know them. This is just kind of a generic university slash high school film. I mean, it's better than like freaking like High School Musical, and I mean, it's just it's just nothing. Like there are things that have been. I mean, you can see the effort that the writers did for this film, but it feels like nothing. There is comedy that I'll admit is a bit funny, but most of it kind of falls flat. I mean, yeah, the actors do try their best with the materials that they're given, but it's just not funny. Once in a while, a chuckle, but nothing like really funny. There are a few clever hidden adult jokes, but not that many. It does get dramatic at times, and I do like some of the morals that the film has. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, even if you're not the scariest, just try and be yourself. And I think the chemistry works well with Mike and Sully, even if they start off a bit unlikable. So, I mean, in a way, I thought the film was, the plot, plot wise, it could have been better, but for what it is, it's fine. There are some great moments in the film where they have to do the scare games, and that's quite intense. So many creative moments too. So at least Pixar hasn't quite gone out of the park yet. I don't mean like knocked out the park. I mean walked out the park, and then going down a very muddy yet wet road. Look, I'm sure Dan Scanlon's a great addition to Pixar, but his directorial debut here is not that impressive. It's dull, predictable, not very funny. It doesn't have that much creativity, and it's just the same old high school university film that you've seen so many times. But thanks to the actually quite clever concept and some funny moments and even some very intense moments, along with a great third act, and an ending that's, I guess, in a way fitting. At least the film doesn't try to scare us too much. It gives us what we expected for a film that's a prequel to Monsters Inc. Animation. It's Pixar. The animation is fantastic. Where do I begin? Well, first off, the characters all have very unique designs, obviously, because they're monsters. Mike, Sully, Art, Squishy, Johnny, Dean, Don, everyone's designs look awesome. They don't make sense, the way they move, the way they talk. They have this very gruesome yet creative design to them, and their movements are smooth and full of energy. Mike's always up on his feet, he's always pretty fast and speedy. Sully is always the big guy, he's strong and he's slow and he takes it cool and slow. I don't know, I kind of admire just how all these characters look. If you compare them to Monsters Inc., the characters look a lot. Well, I mean, first off, it's like 2001, so I'm not going to be harsh on the animation from Monsters Inc., but they look better. They've been upgraded a lot better than the first film, which is, I guess, a compliment. But they do look a lot better in new technology with animation. The new characters look great too, like Art, Don, Squishy, Terry, and you got the Raw Omega Raw team. You got all these characters look great. The backgrounds look pretty real. They're very, very, very photorealistic, which looks great. Although I don't know, with really scary monsters, it doesn't quite fit. Although it does fit a lot better than The Good Dinosaur, I will admit that, because, Good Dinosaur's animation, I like the character animation in that film, but it doesn't quite fit the real environments, This film's also colourful, the events and the scare games are creative. It's just another great looking Pixar film. I wouldn't quite say it's their best efforts, but it is, it's good efforts. It's still, it's got good textures. They have really thought well and hard about giving these monsters great designs. So, not much. I can't really give that much negativity or anything flawed to the animation. It's just another really exciting and fantastic looking Pixar film. Characters and acting. I'm a bit mixed on the characters. I know I do say that a lot, but it's true. Most of them are either, watchable, or the rest are just exactly who you think they are. Mike is the genius. He's the big guy. He's the guy who really, really, really studies hard to become the big scarer. He's fine. He's not as great as he was in the first film, but he's interesting, and we do get to learn a little bit about him. Sully is more like the laid-back, cool guy who just wants to just do it, instead of thinking. He's actually quite brilliant in the film. I actually really enjoy him probably the most. He is quite funny, he is quite intense, and he does have great chemistry and friendship with Mike, which works really well to the film's advantage. It is mainly about these two. The rest of the characters are a mixed bag. Art, voiced by Charlie Day, is probably my favourite new character. I like his design, I like the way he moves, I like his voice performance. I think he's a really cool yet interesting looking monster. Don Carlson is alright. Squidgy, who's voiced by Peter Soul, by the way, who directed The Good Dinosaur, which is a kind of a coincidence, but he's fine, he's okay. Terry's a bit funny. I'm trying to think who else. I think that's it, isn't it? It's just them four. You got Dean, the headmaster, who does serve a big threat, and her point in the film is, she's not in the film for too long, but I think she's a very threatening and interesting, I wouldn't say villain, but threat. And key, more like, well, kind of a key character, I suppose. You got the Omega Raw team. One of them is Johnny, who's the leader. He's just kind of the generic bully that nobody likes. Well, actually, no. The rest of the people like, but the main heroes don't. He's exactly that. He's nothing special. He is a bit funny. His team is forgettable, although their designs look great, obviously, but they just don't stand out. The rest are either running jokes or just kind of there to cheer on. I forgot the OK team name, but doesn't matter. Some of these other characters are funny, but the rest are just kind of there to look cool with their designs, which is fine, but that's about it. The voice acting is actually the thing I can say that does save these characters. I mean, come on, Billy Crystal, John Goodman. Oh, I forgot about Randall. Actually, Randall's pretty great in the film too, although he doesn't do that much besides joining the Omega Raw team instead of the was it the Okia Copa team. I don't know. Steve Buscemi is great. John Goodman, Billy Crystal. You got Charlie Day. You got Helen Mirren. You got I'm trying to think who else. Peter Soul as well. You got Sean. Dave Foey from A Bug's Life. You got Sean Hayes from Will and Grace. Everyone in the film does a great job. They fit in their personalities. They fit their characters well with different voices. I think they're all fantastic, and they do try the best they can with their roles. The characters may not be all that memorable, but at least they're passable. But thanks to some great voice acting, they do more than what they could have done. On a side note, Randy Newman's score is just another Randy Newman score. Don't get me wrong, it's nice and it's pleasant, but it's really nothing special. It's just kind of the same. It's like John Williams. Every time you hear his score in a Star Wars film, it's just nothing special. It's just kind of the same, but you do appreciate it because, it's awesome and it's a great composer too. Okay, I'll admit. Second time watching, I liked this a little better than I did, but it's still not that good. I mean, comparing this to, Cars 2 and maybe Brave. I actually like this a little better than some of the weaker Pixar films, and yes, that does include A Bug's Life. For now, Monsters University could have been a much stronger prequel to a really great original classic. Unfortunately, it's just a good but not particularly great Pixar film. It has a unique concept with some decent laughs and great intense moments. It has a great ending. The animation is brilliant as always. The characters are, they're fine to watch, and the voice acting's great, along with the classic Randy Newman music. Unfortunately, it is predictable. Wasn't that funny that much? The rest of the characters are predictably, well, not annoying, but forgettable. They don't really stand out or do much. And the Randy Newman Randy Newman score is just Randy Newman just doing what he does best. I don't think this is terrible. I think this is a good, watchable film. If you're a huge fan of Monsters Inc., you might be, you might like this, and you might not. I know this film has got, mostly positive reviews, but it is a bit mixed between the Pixar and animation community, which is understandable. I don't think this is terrible once again, but it could have been better. So, if you got kids, if they love Monsters Inc., or if you're just bored, give this a watch. It's not a dreadful film to watch, but it's just, they could have done a lot better with this film. I gave it a 6.3. I'm going to have to give it I'm going to say oh, this is hard. A 6.8 out of 10. Could have been better, but I wouldn't mind watching it again, but definitely not one of the better Pixar films. Better than Cars 2, at least. So yeah, Monsters University. And tomorrow will be Onward, and I cannot wait to see this. It's an early preview, and I've heard many great things about it, so I'm actually quite excited. So look out for that. My thoughts on tomorrow. And what do you guys think of Monsters University? Do you like it? Do you think it's the most underrated Pixar film there is? Do you think it's good, bad, decent? Do you want to see it? Let me know below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Until next time. Well, I can't. I won't be a good scarer because I'm human. How can I be in the scare program if I'm like, you know what? Forget it. This was a bad idea.